So today we're going to be talking about every single double champ fight that can happen in the UFC today. Just to clear this up, I'm going to be giving my opinion on, say, Pantoja versus Merab, then Merab versus Topuria, Topuria versus Islam, Islam versus Belal, Belal versus DDP, DDP versus Pereira, and Pereira versus John Jones and Tom Aspinall. There it's been explained, let's get into it. So starting off, we have got Pantoja, the current flyweight champion, versus Merab. Now I do believe that if anybody does deserve a chance to move up right now, it is this guy right here, Pantoja. The guy is on a crazy win streak in his division, has essentially cleared out all the top contenders, and I think him versus Merab could make for an interesting matchup. Obviously, both guys are grappling heavy fighters. Now, the difference would be, in my opinion, Pantoja is a lot more well-rounded than what Merab is. But there are some things that positives and cons to both guys. So, talking about their grappling, like I said, both guys are grapplers. Pantoja is more of a submission threat. In my opinion, does a better job of controlling his opponents when he gets them to the mat over than Merab. But both guys' takedown entries and how they get takedowns are very different. Merab is constant with the single legs, mainly double legs, so more traditional wrestling type style, where Pantoja is more like trips and sweeps, looking to get to your back from clinches and stuff like that. So they are very different in the grappling areas. I would give the grappling edge to Pantoja, just an overall all grappling skill with his takedowns, his submission, his control. I think Pantoja does win that. In terms of the striking, Pantoja is a better striker in my opinion. I think he's got good Muay Thai, good kickboxing. But here is the issue that would lie with Pantoja in this matchup. Pantoja does tend to gas out a bit in the later rounds of his fight. Now, he can still keep up a high pace, but there's keeping up a high pace, and then there's Merab's pace, which we all have came to see that is Merab's best skill is his cardio. And for the people who say having good cardio isn't a skill, you're clueless. I think it is a good skill. Merab has obviously mastered it. And also, if you're trying to say cardio isn't a skill, let's remember back to when Colby Covington was out voluming the likes of Robbie Lawler, RDA. People were saying, his cardio's insane, his cardio's insane. But when Merab does the same thing, people hate on it. Just something to think about. But like I said, Pantoja does tend to slow down in the later rounds. And like I said, both guys are grapplers. There will be a lot of scrambling in this matchup, in my opinion. I look forward to see the scrambles. I think they would be fun between Pantoja and Merab. And that will obviously wear on Pantoja. And as we know, Merab seems to have an endless gas tank. On the feet, though, I feel like Pantoja might be able to do some good work when he rushes in with his blitzes. But again, I just don't see him being able to hurt Merab. Pantoja isn't this big puncher, and I feel like to stop Merab and stop him just overwhelming and just taking over the fight, you need to be able to hit him and hurt him. I don't think Pantoja will be able to do that. In my opinion, I think Merab would beat Pantoja by decision. I feel like early on especially, you get a lot of good scrambles in there, but I feel like as the fight would go on, I think Pantoja would have some success against Merab, but I feel like as the fight goes on and on and on, especially into the championship rounds, this would be a typical Merab performance, just constantly shooting for takedowns, letting Pantoja get up and work, constantly making him defend takedowns to then land your pity patter shots and the knees and the foot stomps in the clinch. That's who I think would win that matchup. Let's move on to Merab. If Merab moved up to the featherweight division, obviously we know this fight isn't going to happen. Merab loves Ilia Topuria. They're from the same country. Topuria knocks out Merab. I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of people don't understand that Ilia Topuria came into the sport of MMA as a very high level grappler. That is what that was his base, was grappling. This guy's just really refined his boxing in the later stages of his career. Later stages, the guy's only 16-0, but you know what I mean. The later in his career, he's really developed this good boxing, arguably the best boxer right now in the UFC. Ilia Topuria can be hit. He isn't really defensively sound, but Merab isn't a big puncher. Merab's boxing isn't great. I don't think he'd be able to take down and hold down Topuria. Merab isn't really known for taking and holding down guys. I think Topuria would do a good job of defending Merab's takedowns and maybe time them with an uppercut as Merab comes in. Also, like I said, Ilia Topuria is dangerous with submissions as well. Ilia Topuria is just a horrendous matchup for Merab. I think he stops him. Let's not forget, Henry Cejudo nearly finished Merab, and before people say he didn't, he rocked him with a left hook. Imagine Topuria hits him with a left hook. He's not getting up. Let's just call it that. Ilia Topuria beats Merab. Moving on to the lightweight division, we have got Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria. I would love to see this matchup. This is like a dream matchup for this year. I don't think it's going to happen. I think if we ever get to see this matchup, it will be 2026, which really, Ilia Topuria could become the first guy to fight for, well, I think Pereira will do it before him, but he could become the first ever 3-division champion because he's the featherweight champion right now. Nobody in the featherweight division beats him. If Islam doesn't fight him at lightweight and Ilia moves up, Ilia will beat everybody in the lightweight division. Facts. Like, 100% facts. And then that would mean if we're going to get the Islam matchup, it would be up at welterweight, which is crazy to think. But yeah, Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria versus Islam Makhachev, is a matchup that I would really like to see. It is really interesting because I think Islam's toughest test in the UFC is Ilia Topuria, and I think Ilia Topuria's toughest test in the UFC is Islam Makhachev. So this is a really fun matchup, and I think I'd maybe give the edge to Islam, to be honest, but we'll talk about it. Like I said, both guys are good grapplers. You heard rumours that Ilia Topuria was beating up Dagestani fighters and out-grappling them in some training scenario. I can't remember who broke that story. I can't remember who said that story. But anyway, that is something to factor in. But this is the big factor in this matchup. Ilia Topuria's kryptonite is head kicks. If you go back and look throughout his career, he does struggle to defend head kicks. Jai Herbert most notably caught him and hurt him with a head kick. And Islam Makhachev is a really good kickboxer in my opinion. I actually don't think Islam gets the credit he deserves for how improved his stand-up has become. He hurt Charles Oliveira. He beat him up when they were on the feet in their matchup. He beat Volkanovski by knocking him out with a head kick. I know there's circumstances, but anyway. And even in the first fight against Alexander Volkanovski, Islam hurt him, and they were kickboxing for large parts of that fight. And obviously against Dustin Poirier, one of the better boxers in the UFC today, Islam Makhachev went toe-to-toe with him and arguably won a lot of the boxing exchanges, although you do have to factor in Poirier is worried about the threat of the takedown when he's in there with Islam. But even still, it's really impressive. I can see Ilia Topuria just chinning him. I really can. But I'm going to go for Islam. I think Islam's kickboxing, he'll do a good job of keeping it range. And I just have to trust Islam's grappling over Ilia Topuria's. I've just seen more of Islam's grappling. I've seen him be more dominant with the grappling than Topuria. Plus, there's going to be a big size difference in there. Islam is a massive, massive lightweight. I would give the edge to Islam Makhachev, but this is the fight that I really want to see in terms of it. It's like 60-40, maybe. It's really, really close. It's a fight I really want to see. I'm going for Islam. Moving on, Islam versus Belal Muhammad.
Bruh.
I told you this was going to happen. If you go back and look at my videos, my prediction was Islam was going to move up and fight Belal because Belal will beat Shavkat. I've been calling this. I said this fight would headline UFC Abu Dhabi in October for Islam to become double champ. I called this. Everyone told me no. But like Khabib Nurmagomedov said,
Who cares, man?
I knew Islam was going to stab this guy in the back. I knew it. Islam wants to be great. Belal Muhammad does train with these guys, but these guys hold no loyalty to him. He's not from the mountains. He's not related to them. You know what I'm trying to say? You know what I'm trying to say. But Belal Muhammad himself literally admits that Islam beats him up, so there's not really much to talk about here. Belal Muhammad isn't going to be stronger than Islam. He isn't a better grappler. He isn't a better striker. He doesn't have more finishing potential. I just don't see a world where Belal Muhammad beats Islam. Islam beats him. Moving on, Belal versus DDP. Look, I don't want to hate on Belal Muhammad, but he's getting smoked by DDP.
Bruh.
He really is. DDP's just going to be way stronger than him. DDP's a good kickboxer. He is very unorthodox, so that's his thing. But he is a good kickboxer. He went toe-to-toe with Israel Adesanya on the feet, and Belal Muhammad is no Israel Adesanya, although he is Canelo with the boxing hands.
Bruh.
I don't think Belal would be able to out-grapple DDP. Well, maybe he could, because Derek Brunson was able to take down and control DDP, and I'd probably say Belal Muhammad overall is a better grappler than Derek Brunson, although Derek Brunson is a good wrestler, so there is that to consider. I just don't see Belal Muhammad having success against DDP, I'm going to be honest with you. I think DDP knocks him out. Moving on, DDP versus Alex Pereira. This was a matchup that we thought we were going to get after DDP beat Israel Adesanya. Pereira kind of called it out. Now, in the middleweight division, I would favour DDP. I just don't think that's Pereira's best division. I don't think his chin can hold up really in that division that well, and DDP is a big puncher. But in the lightweight division, or light heavyweight, sorry, you're probably going to have to go with Pereira. DDP isn't really defensively sound. He kind of does blitz in, and I can see him getting caught with a Pereira left hook. I can also see Pereira having a lot of success in there, just low kicking the life out of DDP. DDP, though, can't switch stances, so he could give Alex Pereira a lot of different looks in there. DDP, like I said, a good kickboxer, very unorthodox, but Pereira is the best striker in the UFC today. I just don't really think he'd have success against Pereira on the feet. Like I said, the low kicks of Pereira would cause him a lot of problems. Although DDP does have a good lead high kick and he can flick it up fast. Just don't think he's going to land on Pereira. And I don't think he's going to be able to out-muscle Pereira. I think Pereira will match him in strength. And I don't think DDP, yes, is good at he can get takedowns and he is pretty decent at controlling his opponent. And he is aggressive looking for the finish. One, I don't think Pereira's grappling is as bad as everybody thinks it is. And two, DDP isn't like the best wrestler either. Like sometimes his entries are a bit sloppy and stuff like that. I think Pereira would be able to beat him. Don't know if he would stop him though, because DDP is tough. I'd probably lean towards a Pereira stoppage though. And finally, the last two, we've got Pereira versus John Jones. Look, let's just call it what it is. John Jones wants this Pereira fight because one, it's a big fight, and two, it's an easy matchup for him. John Jones is gonna go in there and Cyril Gane Alex Pereira.
Bruh.
It's just what's going to happen. We all know what's going to happen. Now, can Pereira have success against John Jones? If John Jones can't take Pereira down in somewhere like strange reality, Pereira's going to have a lot of success with low kicks and John Jones. John Jones is backing up like this isn't going to work, and Pereira's going to stitch him with a left hook. Just don't see him being able to stop John Jones' takedowns. I think John Jones would submit him or ground and pound TKO him within 2 rounds. Probably lean towards the first round, to be honest. And finally, Pereira versus Tom Aspinall. I think this is a better matchup for him than what John Jones is, purely because Tom Aspinall will entertain striking with Alex Pereira. He will. I know he said he's going to rush out and take him down, but I can just see Tom Aspinall trying to get some looks in with Pereira on the feet. I don't think Pereira beats Tom Aspinall. I think Aspinall will eventually take him down and submit him. Yeah, I don't think Pereira's going to become heavyweight champion. I'm just going to be honest. But you can let me know your opinions in the comments below. These are who I think would win these double champ matchups in the UFC. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And as always, like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. 1K on the way. And I'll see you again in the next one.